Hi guys, Chris Dorry here. Today, to celebrate the release of my September AFL Draft power rankings, I'd like to go through who I think are the top 28 prospects in this draft and sort them into tiers. I've also included in a link in the description below to my ESPN September power rankings, which goes through the strengths and weaknesses and goes into a bit more depth of analysis of each of the top prospects in this year's pool. To start us off with the tier list, in my view there's a clear top three in this draft. Ugle-Hagan and Logan McDonald as key forwards, in my view, could be among the best, if not the best, two key forwards in the game. Where Ugle-Hagan inside 50, well, he's the best I've seen inside 50 in the junior ranks. Whether he's isolated one-on-one, whether he's leaping at the ball, he's the hardest to stop that I've seen. Then you've got Logan McDonald, who's doing some incredible things, and I've done a previous video covering Logan McDonald, so make sure you check that out for more detail on just how legit he is. And then Will Phillips, in my opinion, is the best midfielder in the draft, where looking at what he was doing in last year's final series for Oakley, I thought he was matching Matt Rowell for influence, and I thought he even did a little better than Noah Anderson, who probably had a below expectation final series, but obviously had a great season. I'm finding in this pool, my top three I'm pretty set on, where look, maybe Logan McDonald takes the number one spot. It's a 1A, 1B situation where you could go either way, but I don't really see any of this next group pushing up into this top three for me. Where you've got Hollins is coming off a major injury, which obviously hurts his stocks, but yeah, look, he's someone I would have liked to have seen more improvement from last year, where his season last year was much the same as the year before, and the year before he was just as phenomenal, just really hurting you. He's someone where, look, he'll do a lot of damage, whether it's on the outside, he can play forward and really hurt you as well, so he's a very damaging player, but I just want to see him win more of it. And had he played this year, had the season gone ahead, and had he really boosted his output, then yeah, maybe he'd be in this top category, but given none of that's the case, well, I can only justify him at 4. You've got Tanner, who, again, there's the risk factor where just there was very little exposure last year, so we don't know how much he's really progressed since really his under 16 days, but he's someone where in the under 16s he just dominated, and yeah, look, he's someone where had I seen more of him last year, had he played more and dominated last year, maybe again he could be in this top bracket, but I just can't realistically justify it on the limited glimpses I saw last year. But top 5, yeah, he's definitely got that scope with the way he plays. And then you've got Riley, where he could be something like a more athletic Harry McKay, probably a little more complete version, potentially. I see him mostly as a key forward, but look, he can absolutely relieve through the ruck, and he could be a number 1 ruck if you wanted him to. But I think with his contested marking and with his pace as well, I think probably forward of centre's his best spot, realistically. The thing that probably categorises this next 10 is they probably don't have the same upside as this 4 to 6 group, but I'm seeing mostly pretty solid players here, and some definitely have upside, where if you look at Reef McGuinness, although he played mostly back pocket just out of necessity last year for Oakley, where when you've got Rowell, you've got Noah Anderson, you've got Will Phillips in the same midfield, it's going to be hard to get midfield minutes. Finley McRae was sometimes in there as well, playing mostly outside because there was no other option. But yeah, look, McGuinness is a 192 centimetre ball-winning mid, can play forward as well and have an impact. He's someone where I would have liked to have seen him this year, see a full year of him through the midfield rather than just a few rounds here or there. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of upside for McGuinness. A Finley McRae, he's someone, again, I see quite a bit of upside in, where, again, I would have liked a bit more midfield sort of inside exposure last year, but yeah, look, he's someone I thought would probably take another step this year, and very similar to his brother Jack, just a few centimetres taller, but probably a little more advanced, the same age, better kick than Jack was at the same age, so yeah, Finley looks like a player, maybe not quite the same ball-winning capabilities, but if he comes anywhere close, well, fantastic outcome, obviously. Braden Campbell, he's a pretty sure thing, I think, where, look, put him midfield, put him forward, he can impact and he can play sort of year 1 pretty easily, and he should get a good string of games, if not become a regular that soon. Lachlan Jones, he's a round 1 ready defender, where, look, stick him in a back pocket and he'll shut down a defender, no problem, and he can provide a bit of rebounds, so he's got some capabilities there, and with sort of the way his ball winning is and being so strong, maybe he can become a midfielder with time, but he'll certainly start in defence, I think. Archie Perkins, I see a lot of upside in, where probably not a sure thing, but he can play in midfield, forward. I speculate he could even play in defence with the way he can generate drives, so that might even be his best spot. But yeah, lots of upside in Perkins. Heath Chapman, 193 centimetre key back, or sort of more of a, I guess probably more of a Nick Hayes defender, where you probably don't want him taking a key forward. You want him to be freed up to intercept a lot more and have that freedom. Good ball user as well. So, but yeah, look, if he grows a few more centimetres, maybe he can be a key back and maybe just have more of that intercepting style. So if he does keep growing, well, that's exciting, and maybe he can move up these rankings. Caleb Porter, again, big upside, really strong ball winning mid, but really has an influence through there as well. So if he ends up playing some Sandford League footy and he can go pretty well at that level, well, he's got the scope to really move up to my board in a hurry. But yeah, we just don't know quite whether he'll get there so soon. I think he'll probably take a few years to develop realistically. Nathan O'Driscoll, he's someone where last week 20 disposals in the waffle at league level, so he's looking pretty ready. And look, you can play him outside, inside mid, you can play him off half back. He's someone where you've got a few options, and he shouldn't take too long to develop, but probably doesn't quite have the upside of those above him for me. Denver Granger Barris, I'd like to see him probably a little bit stronger than he is, still probably a bit on the skinny side for a key defender, but he should get stronger. And look, if he can become a genuine key position player, then that's a great success. And I'd like to see him continue to improve his intercepting, because he's someone where he reads it pretty well, so I'd probably like to see a few more intercept marks each game from him, because I think he's got the capabilities to really ramp that up a few gears. And yeah, Tom Powell has been terrific in the Sandford under 18s, where look, he looks like another sort of Lachie Neale, 180 centimetres, but really good all-rounder, and is really sort of balancing out his game, where look, he's starting to run a bit more with it, is using it very nicely, and just a really prolific ball winner through there who really goes at the ball hard. So yeah, I see great upside in Powell, and if he plays Sandford League level, if he can really rack it up there, then he could really shoot up this draft board and move probably up to more this sort of range. He could be around your 10 sort of area on this board potentially, so he's one to keep track of the last bit of the season. Moving down to my last group, and all these guys for me are probable best 22 players, where look, they're probably the next group where I think they can win spots for teams, provided it's the right situation. You've got a Jackson Callow, who he could possibly drop later, where look, he's a fully developed key position player, already 96 kilos. I like him as a key forward, but he's shown in recent weeks in Tassie that he can play key back as well. But really strong mark. Although he's not athletic, I think he moves better than people give him credit for, and he's just a really smart footballer. So I think he's got an opportunity to play at AFL level, and I think he could even play early potentially and really surprise some people. Jack, he's someone where, look, I'm seeing him either forward, mid, back. He's someone where I think you can just plug and play, where he's got good skills, he can find it, he can win it. I think he'll be a pretty good piece. And look, year 1, year 2, I think provided it's the right situation, you give him a chance, I think he can play some games. Sam Berry, probably give him a year or 2, but he's got the ball winning capabilities, really quick mid, very explosive, so I see a role for him in the future. Alex Davies, look, he's someone where, I don't know, maybe I find his decision making can be a bit off, although he's incredibly evasive and he comes from a basketball background where he almost has that Pendlebury-like movement. I can find he can be a bit rushed, particularly getting it onto his foot. So I don't have him quite as high, but look, 191 centimetre mid, wins a high percentage contested, so I think he's got a future at AFL level. Zane True, probably not the most athletic, but look, big time ball winner, strong tackler. I think there's a spot for him, provided it's the right list. Jackson, we've got, for me, strong ball winner, strong tackler, but very explosive. So, yeah, I think with a few years of development is someone where he can come good. He's been playing a bit of forward as well, so look, you could use him as a pressure forward, just having that speed, very strong tackler. So that might be where you start him as you build up his midfield capabilities. Look, is someone where I'd like to see him win more of the ball, averaged about 10 disposals a game last year, but yeah, with just his ball use, his speed, very strong contested ball winner, and he's a high impact per possession guy, so if he can start winning more of the ball, I think he'll be a really good mid, but just not winning more of it, that was the only hesitation that stopped me from including him in the top 20, because the games I've seen of him has been really influential, so he's one where I think he can develop. Braden Cook has been a breakout player this year. Apparently he keeps growing, so someone told me the other day that he's grown to even 192, which is really good. So if he keeps growing, and look, he's got the athletic profile, very strong marks, and he's been hitting the scoreboard. So someone where, look, forward or back, he could play a role. Maybe with his marking, I'd probably put him behind the ball, but he's someone where, look, he could be moving up into this territory pretty soon if he keeps improving. So he's one guy to watch. And then Connor Downey for Hawthorn, look, on the outside is one of those real weapons, whereas he provides the run, he's got the kick, he can generate some meaningful drive. If he starts winning his own ball, then that's when I'm sort of thinking that, yeah, maybe he pushes into this 20, and preseason reports have been really positive. I've been hearing that he's been progressing well and he was going to play a bit more midfield this year, which would have been interesting to watch. But yeah, given we haven't seen it, I can't justify a top 20 spot for him. But yeah, look, he's someone where in an outside role, I think he's got a good chance to find a role, whether it's off half-back, whether it's on a wing. He's got those sort of chances. And Jeffrey and Collins, I'm looking at as sort of your intercepting defenders. Collins can play either shutdown or intercepting, so he gives you some options there. And Jeffrey for Gold Coast, well, being able to get Davies, getting Jeffrey just for absolutely nothing is going to be another win for Gold Coast, which will be terrific for them. And then Baldwin, he's a key forward where, look, he's a shorter one and he's had the 2 major injuries in 2 years. So, but if not for injury, he could potentially be a top 10, top 15, certainly a top 20 guy on most boards. So, yeah, he's someone where I had to include him in just because on quality he's there, but just with the injuries and being a bit of a shorter key forward, look, you can't reasonably have him as high as some of the others. But yeah, that's my top 28. The guys who, if I'm picking with confidence, and those that I think can be best 22 players for a team. Thanks everyone for watching to the end, and make sure you comment below any draft questions, and make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future updates.